Guys, it's Cam, Football Frame Mind Podcast, back with another video, man. So, before we even get started, man, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, man. We trying to grow, so help us grow. We'll grow with you, man. So, as you know, the transfer portal has been a good and a bad thing for college football, man. So, I'm reacting to this video from AG. Um, he is talking about the quarterbacks that transfer who's going to have the biggest impact this year. So I'm interested to see what he says, man, because there are a few guys that on my list of guys that are going to do it, man. So I expect to see Cam Ward, who transferred to Miami. I expect to see Malachi Nelson, who transferred to, I believe, Boise State from USC. So guys that really could impact their team in a big way. So interested to see. Obviously, there are some guys that may not be on the list, but I'm interested to see, especially Dylan Gabriel, man, if he's on the list, because I feel like he's gonna have an instant impact with Oregon out there, man. So we'll see. So without further ado, let's get into this video, man.
What's up, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 impact transfer quarterbacks going in the next season. So this isn't necessarily the top 10 transfer quarterbacks, but more of the top 10 that are going to have an instant impact on kind of the college football playoff outlook and on their team. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Join me down in the comment section while I move along. Number 10, we have Malachi Nelson. All right, Malachi Nelson transferring to Boise State.
All right, so I like this one, man. I like this one. I like this a lot. All right, I like this a lot, man. Obviously coming from USC, man, he was slated to be a really, really big time recruit for them. But him going to Boise State just opens up him playing right away, which is probably something he wanted to do anyway. But um, how good he really is, you know, is going to show based off of what he can give Boise State, man. With this expanded playoff, will Boise State have a chance to make the playoff? I don't know, but if they do, I'm pretty sure Malachi Nelson is going to be a big part of that. Let's see what else I got.
From USC, former five-star prospect, didn't get a lot of run last year behind Caleb Williams and Miller Moss, but this gives Boise State a true dual threat option with Ashton Jeanty in the backfield. Boise State has the potential to be that group of five representation in the college football playoff this year as they expand to 12 teams. Malachi Nelson, I'm kind of curious to see what he's going to look like. Five-star quarterback at Boise State, not something you see every day. So I
Yeah,
think him and
yeah.
GT should be a pretty nasty backfield. Number 9, Will Howard. All right, Will Howard.
All right, so this one I'm actually looking forward to as well, man. So he's going to Ohio State. Should be an instant starter, man. I forgot who their quarterback was last year, man, but they weren't sold on him at all. So they went out and got a guy that could come in and start right away, man. So the guy I thought that they were gonna start got hurt in the bowl game and pretty much set up that upset in that bowl game to Mizzou. So um, we'll see, man. Will Howard had a lot of success at Kansas State, man. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing how he does, man. But I like this a lot, man. I think he's gonna be real good.
Transfer from Kansas State to Ohio State, 24 touchdowns last year, 2,643 yards. Replaces Kyle McCord. He's got a pretty good backfield mate with Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins. Now, Will Howard, I think Ohio State is definitely a college football playoff team. The reason he's so low is because I think he could have almost thrown anybody in that backfield, and Ohio State's probably going to be a playoff team. But
Yeah. Oh God, you could have threw anybody in there, dog, and they was gonna be good, man. Look at the receivers they have, man. I want to say Boca's back. Then they got a host of other guys that they just recruited. So I mean, embarrassment of riches. As long as you don't turn over the ball and have some explosive plays, I guarantee you're gonna be all right.
With Will Howard, really good dual threat guy. He can run it, he can pass it. Kind of a better runner than he's given credit for. You might not think that by looking at him, just kind of his stature in the pocket, but he can actually take off and run. Will Howard coming in at number 9. Our number 8, Tyler Shook. All right, transferring over from
Hmm.
Texas Tech to Louisville.
All right, so this one's interesting to me, man, because obviously, Tyler Shook is really good, man, and he ain't get enough shine at Texas Tech, as you can see. But at the same time, man, going to Louisville and how they open up the offense, man, is crazy, crazy good, So he gonna put up some numbers, man. And I expect Louisville to make some noise, man. They got into I want to say they got into the ACC championship game last year. So and quarterback play is really why they lost. So if he can do his thing, I guarantee they gonna be right back doing their thing in the ACC championship game. They might win, depending on who they play you know. But quarterback play shouldn't be a problem in my
Formerly at Oregon as well. Last year, his stats: 7 touchdowns,
opinion.
746 yards. Got hurt though, so that's not really the best stats to look at. But I think Louisville has a legitimate chance to make the college football playoff out of the ACC, and Tyler Shoug's going to be a big reason for that if it does happen. Uh, his impact should be felt immediately. All right, we kind of saw Louisville's limitations last year over the further they got in the year. But
See?
Jeff Brom, really good head coach there. Tyler Shough has some good transfer guys coming in at wide receiver, at running back in the backfield, and some really good weapons that he can get it out to. Number 7, Jordan McLeod. All right, James Madison quarterback transferring.
Okay, so this one's interesting too, man. James Madison obviously did a lot of good last year, man. Actually, James Madison is really one of those teams that has come from the FCS level to really ball out in the top level of college football, man. So shout out to them. Jordan McLeod did good, man. This is a good pickup for Texas State. But honestly, Texas State has some really good quarterback play anyway because I believe they got Finley, who was when he was an Auburn quarterback, and then he was a LSU quarterback, or vice versa. But he was there and kind of picked his career up in a sense. So going to Texas State should be a really good thing for Jordan McLeod, man. I expect him to continue to have that success, man. Um, and just keep on rolling, man. I like this. I like this a lot.
In conference to Texas State. 35 touchdowns, over 3,657 yards passing. All right, this is
Oh,
another guy. All right, he should have an instant impact similar to Malachi Nelson to where his team could potentially make the college football playoff.
yeah.
Look at Texas State's schedule. They were pretty good last year, and I think they're only going to be better. Jordan McLeod, definitely going to help with that. And looking at their schedule, there's not really an obvious loss on there. I think they could go undefeated and could sneak into that college football playoff depending on what happens. Jordan McLeod, though, really
Yeah.
impressive. If you haven't seen him, go watch his highlights. Number 6, Kyle McCord. All
There
right,
we
Kyle
go.
McCord transfer.
All right, there we go. Definitely go. Kyle McCord. Okay. So, like, Kyle McCord, in my opinion, was one of these guys that I felt like transferred because he didn't feel wanted, man. And that sucks. But the quarterback play for Ohio State has to have a certain it has to have a certain oomph to it. You go through the names that were there before him. Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. He had 50 touchdowns, right? You go and you look at guys like JT Barrett. They had good years. He had good years passing. And I can't forget CJ Stroud, man. The quarterback position at Ohio State, at least in college, is one of those positions that needs to be you gotta have some get up to it, man. And I don't think they were impressed with Kyle McCord, from the jump. So them, being able to get um, the guy from Will Howard from Kansas State would probably feels like he will give them the impact that they need at the quarterback position. So when he decided to go to Syracuse, it surprised me. But I'm not sure what offense that they're going to run. But under the new coach Fran Brown, I think this is a good start, man. You want to build some equity with those board of directors. And one thing that gets you some good faith as far as length into your contract is starting off winning some games. And yes, Kyle McCord wasn't the quarterback that maybe they wanted. He's going to be the quarterback that Syracuse wants, man. He's going to really do some things. I don't know how many games they're going to win at Syracuse, but I guarantee it's more than they were going to win without him, man. So um, I'm excited about this one. This is a good one.
From Ohio State to Syracuse. I'm not really entirely sure Will Howard is better than Kyle McCord, to be honest with you. But Kyle McCord last year, 24 touchdowns, 3,170 yards, was kind of the scapegoat for Ohio State. Everybody kind of said he was the reason they weren't hitting their peak on offense, I guess, even though they had Travion Henderson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Booker. But Kyle McCord, I think he's set up for success at Syracuse. Look at the weapons they brought in with their new head coach, Fran Brown. Brings over some good weapons from Georgia at receiver. He's kind of surrounded by some playmakers. All right, whether it's receiver, tight end, running back, I think Kyle McCord's got a chance to kind of shock the doubters here and potentially look at their schedule. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Sneak into the top 20 by the end of the year and potentially make a college football playoff push. Number 5, Riley Leonard. All right, coming from
All right, so this one right here, man. So I gotta give Brandon a shout out, man, because he actually turned me on to Riley Leonard, man. I didn't know he was this good, man. I like him a lot, man. Um, like, dude, he really he showed me what Riley Leonard could do, man. And he showed up in that first game last year against Clemson, man. So I like him a lot, man. I like the way he can decipher defenses, but I also like his mobility, man. That's underrated and it's something I think you have to have in college football. So now fast forward now that he's going to Notre Dame, this is going to be a huge pickup, man. So, barring injury, man, it should be good for Notre Dame, man. Because Notre Dame might be the preppy school that go you gotta have the grades to go there, man. But they still got football players, man. And Notre Dame speaks for itself. It's a brand. And for Marcus Freeman to secure his job even more, because I don't think he's on the hot seat. Riley Leonard has to pay off, man, because I don't want to see any of that chit chat about, oh man, he ain't really done it. And look, Notre Dame ain't won a national championship in about 30, 40 years, something like that, like 88, 89, something like that. They ain't been to a championship since like 2011, 2012. So, um, yeah. So I think Riley Leonard's going to be a big cog. He's going to have to be a big cog in their success this season, man. So hopefully he can one stay healthy and really just play because he's going to be an impact player. And Notre Dame, who is probably looking to secure a playoff spot, man. Like I said, the expanded playoff, whatever you want to say it, is huge because it's teams that are looking to get in there. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be teams on the outside looking in too. And Notre Dame could be one of them. But I guarantee when it comes down to looking at all the data points as the committee does, if you have a healthy Riley Leonard against Exhibit A quarterback, whatever, I think you're probably going to get a nod to Riley Leonard, man. If he's available and Exhibit A player may not be. We've seen that happen last year, so we'll see. But I definitely like Riley Leonard number 5, man. I really thought he would be higher, honestly, but we'll see.
Duke to Notre Dame. Really good year last year. I know the stats don't show it, but he was injured as well.
Yeah.
When Duke was playing, though, he was a top 15. Excuse me. When he was playing, he had Duke as a top 15 team last year. 3 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards passing. Really good dual threat guy as well. He can run it also. Should be a good fit in Notre Dame's system, give them a little more versatility on offense. We saw Sam Hartman last year at Notre Dame. I think Riley Leonard, if he can stay healthy, should make the playoff with Notre Dame. Number 4, DJ Uiagalelei, formerly at Clemson, then at Oregon State, going to Florida State to.
Okay, so DJ Uyunglele, man. DJU. So this is an interesting one, man, because he was at Clemson. We know that. And I felt like they tried to turn him into Trevor Lawrence 2.0 or a Deshaun Watson clone. And one, he's bigger than them. And two, yes, he can run, but that's not his game. I would have shifted things to where they were in his favor because he's got a cannon for an arm and he can stand in that pocket and take some hits, man, while completing balls downfield, man. I would have transferred that. Like I said, hindsight is 2020, right? But after it's all said and done, the way they were using him at Clemson wasn't necessarily the best way for him to be successful. And I think they know that because he fits the mold of a Dante Culpepper, in my opinion. A guy, a big quarterback with a cannon arm. Let him sling it, man. Yeah, he can move around a little bit, but don't make that the focus of it, having quarterback runs and things like that. No, no, that's not cool, man. So fast forward to him at Oregon State, they let him sling it. And guess what? Oregon State was in the Pac 12 championship picture for a little bit, right? And had Washington on the ropes, and DJU had a lot to do with that. Now, we're in present day with him going to Florida State. That is one of those big, big transfer portal. This is what the transfer portal is about in a sense, man. Not about moving teams, man, but about making a big splash to help your team win. And getting DJU, I think is a huge, huge step, man. Don't get me wrong, Jordan Travis was very good last year, man, until he got hurt. The scapegoat in a sense for them not making the playoffs, man. But that's okay. We're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about DJU and how he's gonna be good at Florida State next year, man. Big time player, man. Big quarterback with a cannon arm, man. You tell me what Florida State could do. I think they could do some good, man, because now they got more athletes at Florida State, and with a quarterback that's going to be able to get these athletes the ball in space and downfield. I would have loved to see him play with Keon Coleman, because Keon Coleman was very very good with that 50-50 balls, man, jump catches, end zone, red zone. He was good at that. And I know DJU was gonna let him eat. So interesting to see what they do. But I thought this would be in the top two, honestly. So I'm anxious to see what else he got on the list. But DJU's a big pickup, man. And FSU's gonna be in that playoff picture for real again this year. So but the ACC is still good. So we'll see.
Replace Jordan Travis as they look to make the college football playoff this year. 21 touchdowns last year, 2,638 yards. Not the most impressive numbers for
Wow.
DJU, but he is a winner. All right.
Context.
So no matter where he's at, he's won ball games. All right. The amount of games he won at Oregon State last year is impressive in its own right.
Yep.
But he's going to be surrounded by better weapons at Florida State than he's had
Yep.
his whole career, whether it be Clemson, whether it be Oregon
Yep.
State. And I think he has a legitimate shot to get Florida State there where they hoped to get last year into the college football playoff. We know he can win ball games, like I said, and he's got enough weapons. I think he should be in store for a good year. Number 3, Cam Ward, go from
Ooh.
Washington State to Miami.
All right, so this is the one I thought was gonna be number 1, man. Okay, so Cam Ward, man, let's put this into perspective, man. The guy was at Incarnate Word first, right? and balled out there. One of the biggest transfer portal players to come into Division One, right? So now he had that run at Washington State, which was cool. It was cool, man. He did some good and some bad, but he was learning the quarterback position against defenses that are a lot better than FCS teams, right? So now you have this year, which is pretty good in my opinion. I mean, 3,700 yards is not nothing to sneeze at, you know. But uh, decision making has to be better, right? Now, we're fast forwarding into the present day. Miami is a team that is ascending, man. These last few years, Mario Cristobal has been building class after class after class. So now this is, I want to say, year three of him rebuilding Miami's lure and their recruiting base, man. Because that's one thing Mario Cristobal is good at, that is recruiting, man. It goes all the way back to his, I want to say, Florida International days, going into his Bama days, going into Oregon when he was there. So you know he can recruit, man. But one position that he hasn't really nailed down is quarterback. So having a guy like Cam Ward who had options to go pro, be honest with you, he would have been a really good project player for somebody in rounds three, maybe even two through four, because I don't think he would have sat on the board much that long. Because he has a lot of tools and a lot of traits that you can use at the pro level, right? But um, him going to Miami is a huge deal, a very huge deal, man. Because like I said, they have athletes on that team, man, and it's important to understand that when you have a good trigger man back there that can run your offense, that's not going to turn the ball over while using his legs a little bit too, is a good thing, man. I think Cam Ward has inserted himself in preseason Heisman talks, man, because I think he's that damn good, man. And Miami is a really good football team, man. Like I said, the ACC might be this year's Pac-12, man, in terms of competitiveness and every game meaning something. You know what I'm saying? So don't be surprised, man, if Miami is in that ACC championship game again and wins. Don't be surprised, man. I'm looking forward to Cam Ward. Big time pickup.
Some thought he might go pro. I kind of figured he'd end up at Miami eventually because he never signed with an agent. 25 touchdowns, over 3,735 yards passing. Really good stats, really good production. This is kind of what Miami needed, just a complete playmaker at quarterback. Should
Sure.
give them a chance in the ACC. It's kind of up for the taking. There's not really one dominant team, but I think this is an improvement over Tyler Van Dyke. I'm a big Tyler Van Dyke fan, but he kind of had his limitations the past couple of years in Miami, being a little injury prone as well. You could tell he was hurt, but
Yep.
I think Cam Ward should have Miami in the hunt. I think I have them currently in my top 15. Number two, Dylan Gabriel, all right, Oklahoma.
Ooh. Okay, so this one was interesting to me because Gabriel was so good at I want to say is that UCF, yeah. So he was very good at UCF, man. And then he goes to Oregon, and it's like, oh, okay, well this guy must be really, really good, right? But his stop in Oklahoma was just as good as this is gonna be. So now you've seen kind of what Oregon is doing to these quarterbacks, man. They're not as fast as the Chip Kelly days, wide open, fast, doing this. And they're not even like Mariota with Helfrich, but they have a mix of run and pass, bro. And it's like their attack is so simple, man. And you've seen the elevation of Bo Nix's play just being in a system like that. Now I agree that Bo Nix had limitations at Auburn because Auburn's just Auburn sometimes. But with Dylan Gabriel, he is a better passer than Bo Nix was. So what Bo Nix did, I expect efficiently Dylan Gabriel to be that much better, in my opinion. This is a huge pickup for them. Allows them to keep that momentum going from last year to this year, man. They don't really have to worry about Washington. So, they don't have to worry about that team. But we'll see, man, because if I'm not mistaken, Oregon is in the Big Ten now. So I don't know. I expect this division, this conference to be very, 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 very competitive, man. Like it's gonna be tough, man. Like people want to say the regular season don't mean anything. I disagree, man. It's gonna be some teams, some games this year that are gonna be so competitive, man. Like every game's gonna mean something in the Big Ten, bro. Like I said, I don't agree with that as far as like um, conference realignment, but this ain't this video. We can get into that in a different one. But he's a big pickup, and it makes it interesting for the Big Ten this year, bro. Most definitely.
Oklahoma to Oregon, 30 touchdowns, 3,660 yards passing, coming in for Dan Lanning to replace Bo Nix. And I think this offense is going to take an even bigger step with Dylan Gabriel. I think he's
Yeah.
better than Bo Nix. Even despite the numbers that Oregon has put up with Bo Nix, I think Dylan Gabriel, again, takes this offense to new heights. Think about what he did at Oklahoma. All right, when he wasn't on the field, when he was hurt, Oklahoma sucked last year and the year before. Terrible without him. When he was on the field, beat Texas by himself pretty much, whether it was running or passing. The amount of weapons he's going to have at Oregon, I think he's in store for a potential Heisman year. All right, and number one, we've got Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina to
Okay, so this one's interesting, man. So I don't really know much about Grayson McCall, man. I figured he was gonna be on the list because I've listened to a lot of top 10, top 5 lists, but it's interesting to see what's gonna happen with this, man. I don't know. I really don't know how to do it. I don't know, man. So I'm really interested. I'm gonna actually just listen to what he has to say, man, because I really not educated on Grayson McCall for real.
NC State. Another guy, I can't really look at his stats because he was injured last year. 10 touchdowns, almost 2,000 yards passing. Think back to a few years ago when Coastal Carolina kind of went on that really good run with Jamie Chadwell in 2020. Them and BYU when they played that week matchup during the middle of the week. Both of them are undefeated. Grayson McCall was the quarterback for Coastal Carolina during that time.
Okay.
He's still in college football. NC State has the roster to make the CFP. Excuse me, they just needed the quarterback.
Yeah, see, so he's making my point, man. The ACC is gonna be competitive, man. The Big Ten is gonna be competitive, man. The SEC is gonna be competitive, man. So like group of 5 teams getting in there, man, is gonna be hard as hell because there's gonna be some good teams with 2, maybe even 3 losses that you have to really consider putting them in the playoffs or not. So I expect this to be good, man. It's gonna be a good season, man.
Grayson McCall comes in. I think they were in a nice position. I currently have them in my top 10 preseason. Might be too high, but I think this team legitimately has a chance. All right, again, look at their weapons they have. They've also loaded up in the portal, one of the more underrated portal classes, and Grayson McCall is among that. With Grayson McCall, I think this team is set up to run the table in the ACC and potentially be in the college football playoff. But those are my top 10 instant impact transfer quarterbacks.
All right, man. So I really like this list, man. Uh, yeah, gave him a like and subscribe earlier, man. But this is a crazy, crazy list, man. But I expect a lot of these dudes to be in the running for some hardware and getting their teams into the playoffs, maybe. We don't know. But let me know what y'all think of that list, man. The video reaction. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Cam. Peace.